Perfect. Great. お願いします。
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 Perfectly great. Let's just loosen up a little bit. So. Shaking out the arms a little bit to the side. Right up to the top. Okay, swinging around to the back. Right, a little bit front and back. Right, side to side. Okay, perfect. Great, into a little bit of rotation. Great, take it into a wave. Great, okay, take it into a spiral down, just letting the arms follow the movement. Yeah. And back up. Right, back up to the top, and we just take it to the head. Nice, big slow circles, one way and the other. Perfect. And then rolling from the neck, front and back. Right into the shoulders, moving in circles. And change direction. Right, gaze open one side out. Good, changing sides. And out to the front. Right, circle to the front. Changing direction. Right, reaching the arms out and just rolling the shoulders up. Right, keeping the arms out and rolling the elbows. And changing direction. Right, shaking the hands out a little bit. And down. Out. Right, rolling in circles. Great. Let's take it down to the chest, just curl in and out the chest. Great, take it side to side. And rolling in circles with it. Great, okay, take it to the hips. Big circles. Direction. Step out a little bit, dropping down into the center. A little bit of balance in the knees. Bring the hands into the knees, rolling through kind of the shoulder. Second the legs out a little bit more, going side to side. Yeah. Keep bringing the knees together. Changing direction. And bend and straight. Dropping down. A little bit of pressure against the legs, the arms. Good. And looking into the feet, rolling the ankles. Gently working the toes. Get off the ground and circling. Straighten through the toes. Down at the foot, just twisting out the hip. Roll in circles to the back. Great, and switching sides. Pulling the ankle. Gently getting the toes over. Reaching off the ground. Circling. Straight into the leg. Great, straightening the foot out and then twisting the hip. And making circles to the back. Great. Okay, we'll just go shoulder width apart, bringing up the arms right to the back, and dropping down, dropping the weight in. Quick into the center and then just let the arms swing across, alternating the arms each time. Great, and then add a twist into it, bringing the hand to the shoulder. Great, and then working here with a figure of 8, so kind of sending the arm out in that movement rather than to the shoulder. Let it kind of swing out a little bit, and then think about drawing it back with the hip as well. As you send the other arm in, just slowly make that connection deeper. Keep the arm heavy. Now as you do it, just start to shift the weight a little bit into the feet. So not really moving the feet, but just shifting the way you do it. You're keeping the arms swinging, keeping them heavy. Spine nice and long, and you start kind of shifting the body around gently. Keep that figure of 8 going in the hips, into the arm. That's heavy. Great. And as you're doing it, start to think about rotating the body with it. So you can start to let the feet and the hips open out. Small, but again, let everything just roll with it. So you think about that passing spirals out. And the whole movement now spiraling. The main thing in these rotations is trying to keep the weight in the movement and that heaviness in the body. You should do it. So this idea of keeping the weight underneath, weight on the side. Keep it as you, especially as you're rotating. Nice. And then keep that going. Think now about kind of casting the arms up and out. So as you do this with a kind of spiral, kind of challenge it a little bit with the arm. And you can work just one side, you work with kind of both come and go. And think about the heaviness in the arm. Trying to keep the weight in the legs. Find a rotation. Anything is connecting the arms now to the movement. The weight down through the body. So raise. Okay. Now, as you're doing it, just think about one idea, which is about kind of absorbing back through it. So you can do all these rooms kind of in all the time, but think about a little bit here, kind of receiving back, and then maybe taking it in a little bit. But play with the idea and kind of being able to roll it, keep that connection. Rolling back, taking it, rolling back. So play a little bit now with rolling, receiving. Then through spirals. Right. Okay, we'll take this to the 𝒂𝒂 next, but just first, just play with the hands basically falling onto the center line. So as if you've got the sword in the hands, and just play now, keep that flexibility in the body, keep that weight in the arms, but just play now with the arms basically tracking down the center line. So as you move, that kind of weight to it, but just be free with the arms. You can put the right hand on top, or you can change to the left. But the key thing is just letting the arms now track to the center, keeping the body flexible, keeping that heaviness in the connection. Perfect. Okay, take a 𝒂𝒂. So we just start shoulder width apart, just getting used to the arc again on the sword. Just let it drop in and get as relaxed as you can with it. The spine, keeping the shoulders free. Just dropping the weight through the arc. Right. Just play one slight change. It's not exactly how we're cutting with it, but it's just going to exaggerate one thing. So get to this position and then feel like you're going to drop down, and then as if you're dragging the sword off around the head. So you're going to kind of drag it down off the head. What this is trying to stop is the idea of pushing out at the top and then kind of dropping down with it. So just think about here, the sword's kind of glued to the back of the head. And you're going to drop the body in, and then have the feeling you're going to kind of close the elbows, draw the shoulders down, and drag the sword off the body. Like it's kind of stuck to the spine. There. A little bit like the feeling you've got in a 𝒊𝒂𝒿 when you've got the arm here, and then you just drop the weight of the body in. Imagine the sword's a little bit glued to the spine. That's it, right? Good. Okay, perfect. Just going now to placing the sword in front of the body. So just find the horizontal. Okay, great. So the key thing now is this idea of grounding the cut in the hip. So play with here just a fraction before you find this point in the sword. Feel that the hips are already down and settled. So just play with this, get nice and slow. But round about this point in the cut, you should feel that the hips basically settled and in this kind of fixed position. And then the sword's basically got something to kind of bite into in that last part of it. If the hip's not quite fixed in this point, you're going to start to get these kind of wobbles through the body, or you're going to start to make adjustments. So just think just briefly before that part, the hips down, and then we just slot the sword into the hip. So the hips ground and then the sword places. So think first hips and then the hands. Just a fraction of before. It's not kind of major. Boom, boom. Just before that. You just want to feel like the sword's just going to sit down into the cut. It doesn't go anywhere. Great. So add in the focus, but you're also going to do something else now. So you're going to come up, same thing, drop the focus in, and then just release the sword. And you just want to feel the body basically grounded in the floor. So it's really, again, emphasizing the hips and the grounding in the cut. So release it after it and just feel where the body is. So don't release anything else in the body, just this walker in front. Release the shoulders and feel that the body's nicely grounded through that. Just check in with the body. The main thing notice here is whether you're overbalanced to the front and listen where the body kind of pulls back, or the other big one is sense of being held, with the structure being kind of held up. So just notice tension in the spine. If you feel the body wants to kind of release more, just let it happen. And each time you cut, just try and find more of that sense of relaxed heaviness as you go into the cut. Perfect. So just take it into now the right hand, we've gone into the first group, and just play within these three levels. So you've got the first one just slicing through, the second placing it with the hip, and then the third, find the full focus and then just release back in. All the time focusing on the base of the body, the center line, dropping the cut in. Dropping the cut in. Each time the body's doing the same thing, just adjusting what's happening in the arms. Great. So go now to just into the first 𝒊𝒏𝒈, but just focus on one thing. As you find the ground here, you're going to use that feeling you've got in the ground, connect it to the sword, and find the raise in that. So really focusing now, let the focus happen. Focus now on the raise. So that feeling of groundedness here, use it to release the arms up to the top. So find that feeling here and then release it. Bringing all your awareness to the back of the body and let the front really soften. So the front, the chest up to the shoulders, and release that. You're trying to pass that movement directly into the sword. The feeling now is as you raise the arms, you're going to drop the center and drop in as you go. So the weight needs to drop into that back foot. Yeah, and then drop into the back foot. So you raise through dropping the weight in this case. That's a nice position because you're already fully grounded. Just shift it into that back leg. That's it. And just listen to the feedback in the body as well with this one, because this will teach you a lot about the cut, whether it's grounded or not. Just watch for this. If the cut's not really fully grounded, you'll find that as I try and shift and ground the weight, there'll be a pull back and then a raise. So that kind of position, I'm out of the structure. The cut's not really fixed to the hip. And then as I try to pull it back, it basically needs to pull back into the hip and then raise it. So just really listen to that movement in the arm. So notice that, and you want that movement of the hip to go directly into the arms and the sword. But if you feel it's kind of pulling back, just listen to it. And each time again, just try and find more in the center of the movement, and then raise it. Yes. Good. Great. And then take it into Zengo. Again, focus on that point. Really fully ground the cut each time. And then feel that now you can again shift the weight into the ground, but let that raise now taken into a spiral in the upper body. So releasing now that move, spiral it up to the top, drop it in. Fully ground it, find the center of the cut, and then release it. You're looking for a really full back of the body, and then the front of the body nice and soft. Relaxed as possible. As relaxed as possible. That's it. But just play with one idea. Usually teach this to beginners. I was teaching this on Thursday and Friday as well. When you do this, you sometimes hear this point like you find that curve, and then as if the point of the sword's kind of stuck in a wall, and then you're kind of rotating underneath it to find that movement. So just play with this idea, but the main thing with this, the main thing with this movement, although later you want to affect the tip directly, you want to feel that the first thing to move is the core of the body. So try and avoid, if you go to this, you can go like external and go to the swords basically pulling the movement out, and then the upper body basically follows and the core follows in. Or you can think about basically adjusting the core out, and then the tip adjusts. So just play from this position as if it's stuck in the front, and then just play with mobilizing the core around the sword. So play with the difference between that, basically where the arms screw the movement out, or the core basically releases the movement. But it's quite a subtle move, it's quite a subtle kind of movement. And play with it on both sides. But it's the difference between the arms coiling out and the center dropping in. So you notice to move from the center, you need to be right in the middle of the posture. And then the center can basically drop in. It can pass that spiral, and then it can pass it to the arm. If I go external, it doesn't matter whether I'm balanced or not, because I'm basically pulling out the structure. So this is the big thing, is finding the balance and letting the body drop into the base. And once you've got it like small, start to release it into a bigger movement. But the key things are initiating, find the core in the center, find the spiral in the center. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
Great, Nina.
Good day, everyone.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Yes, too. That's it. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Great. Just play with one move now, just to make it a little bit bigger. So in this case, you're going to step into it. So again, keep that connection in. Now the trick is you're going to drop the weight into that leg. Drop the weight in, find the rotation, and release it through that. So don't worry too much about the curve. And in this case, to do both sides, just switch the leg back. So you've got the sense like sink into that front leg, and then get the body basically passing that spiral in, drop in the curve, and then just switch the leg back. So you go into that spiral now, in, drop into it, change the leg, spiral in underneath, drop into the curve, change the leg. So. Right. Yeah, keep this one simple. So you can do different things with the legs with this. They're all pretty much the same, but this is the most simple one you can get. So think about, in this case, you just make one step and one rotation. Then the cut finishes here. And then here just change the feet. So it's just one step in and a turn. And then it's changing the leg. So obviously you can do all these kind of things, kind of come back and drop in, but just make this super simple. So it's just focusing on that initial step in and there. So it's really focused on that kind of movement. There, underneath, dropping into the cut. Think in this case really like sheep on Agnes, you go in and rotate. There. Yeah, we got nice. Okay, perfect. We'll take this into a little bit of 𝒂𝒄𝒿. So just keep it nice and relaxed, just staying on the spot for this one. So the key thing is now get that spiral releasing from the lower body and then release it into the arms. So again, keeping the arms as relaxed as possible, but letting the sword now pass in this area. So it's now working diagonally, but keeping a sense of the center line. And again, that sense of the lower body grounding, the upper body releasing a spiral. And really trying to work the sword from the center out rather than sword first. Really try and get the center kicking behind the sword. Nice. Yeah. One of the problems with this exercise, because it's on the spot and the one hip's going backwards, the tendency is for this pattern to come in. So you get to here and then that hip pulls back. Here, that hip pulls back. And what happens is the body starts to spin out with it. So I start to lose that direction. So as you're doing this one, focus on the foot that comes in, that takes the step in. And as you find that movement, think of dropping the weight just into that leg, that way. So you don't really want any emphasis on that pull back of the hip. You just want to think about that hip opening, but try and avoid the sense that the hip's going to kind of pull the body back, which later translates to the body basically spinning out of the cut when I step with it. So think about all the weight, mostly dropping in that front leg. There. There. So let the feeling kind of drain down that way. And then as the foot adjusts, the weight's naturally going to shift back in the center, but you want to avoid it being, the body being pulled back with it. So think about dropping down with it. Just let that back hip adjust naturally. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, perfect. There we go, nice. Great, and then start to bring in the focus. And again, linking the grounding to the sword. So that grounding here in the feet, trying to then release it into the next cut. Release it into the next cut. So. That's it. And then take this from being on the spot, just slightly, like you're kind of shuffling with it, but keeping the hammy, but just gently kind of shifting the body around. The key thing now again is that grounding through the leg. Let the sword really catch into that. So the leg catches into it. So not so much stepping, just kind of shuffling the body, landing the weight each time. Landing the weight. But trying to keep the hand, that's the tricky part of this. Not short movements, then the body fall into the hand each time. And then work this from a kind of dynamic position. So you've got the sword in front of you, just moving around. And then again, just play with the idea of the sword entering into your corner. Yeah. So using the ground, but working now from a dynamic. Pause in movement. There. Find the cut. Find the cut. Just really explore different angles. Good. And then the last minute, just bring back those movements of the shomanuchi and these kind of rotations, zengogu, and just make it into the really slow Kiranagari practice. So play with, basically you're going to ground the cut, move. Ground the cut, move. Ground the cut, move. Keep it nice and slow, but again, focusing on the groundwork. Linking it with the hands, but just feel really free to move any direction. Okie dokie, perfect. We'll stop there. Okay. Great. Domo. Arigato. Gozaimasu.
ありがとうございました。
Okay, perfect.